Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everybody, wherever you're watching from. Thank you for joining me. It's 3 p.m. here in the UK, and we are here with a very special live stream today. So if you can let me know your name, where you're watching from, that would be awesome. Give me a thumbs up in the chat. Let me know that we're all good here. We got Dasksha here, says, oh my goodness, I can't wait. What a duo. That's very kind of you to include me in that, Dashka, but I think our guest here is definitely the main attraction here today. Violet is excited. Who's that? Lois from the Netherlands is here. Wonderful to have you. Teresa from Southern California. Violet, will there be a replay? Yes. Yeah, this is all going to be recorded. You can watch it straight away afterwards as well. Bo from Cincinnati, Ohio. Good to have you. Ray is here. Dion is here. Anna from Puerto Rico. Wonderful. Lovely. So great to have you all here today. It's a nice warm day here in sunny Cheshire in the UK. Who else have we got? Anita from West Virginia. Dion says she missed joining Stefan's workshop a couple of weeks back. Oh, dear. Well, I'm sure Stefan can tell us a bit about that. I'm sure that'll be open again sometime in the future. Joyce is here from New Jersey. Susan from Florida. Mike from Canada. Sue from Wisconsin. Beth says, I'm incredibly excited to learn from the best. Yes, me too. So if you didn't already know what we're doing here today, we have a wonderful special guest, Mr. Stefan Kunz, joining us, hand lettering expert and all-round nice guy. And he's kindly agreed to come on and answer questions and actually do some live hand lettering for us here today. So if this is your first time, just a couple of housekeeping bits. If you can like and subscribe, that would be wonderful. Hit the like button, subscribe to me on YouTube. You know, we're all slaves to the algorithm. Ask your questions. We are going to just have an open season on questions. So anything that pops into your head, anything you want to ask Stefan, just go ahead and post it in the comments. I'll be keeping an eye on those. I'll be passing questions on to Stefan as we go. And yeah, he's happy to answer stuff as it comes in. Stefan has a wonderful range of products, from courses to brushes for Procreate and helpful tools like that. I've put a few of my favorites on my website, michaelessick.com/Stefan. And Stefan has also given us very kindly a discount coupon for 20% off. So if you want to use the coupon Michael, we'll talk a little bit more at the end about some of Stefan's products and why you might want to check those out. But just want to flag that up right now. So without further ado, let me bring on Stefan here. Like I say, ask your questions as we go. But if you don't know who Stefan is, incredible hand lettering artist, built a big following on Instagram from his skills as a hand letterer. But let me bring him on here and we'll get Stefan to introduce himself a little bit. So welcome to the stream, please, Mr. Stefan Kunz. How are you? Oh, look at that.
I'm good.
Very nice, multi-talented.
You missed the part that I'm a guitar player now, that I've been practicing the G chord for a very long time.
Oh, see, I didn't know that.
See? Not just a hand letter.
I could have got my guitar out. We could have done a little duet for everyone.
Really?
If we would have planned this out.
After the G chord, it's kind of like hard to get another one. No, it's just.
You want to try
that
D one next? That D one is an easy one to do next.
D.
You can do a D.
Is actually, yeah.
There you go.
But
G and D.
I think the F chord, it's like where you have those barre chords.
Yeah. The F.
That's where it gets tricky.
That's where it gets a bit tricky, definitely. Yeah.
So,
well, we already have our next live stream planned. We can do a little jam session.
It's like how to write songs and make T-shirts, selling T-shirts. Like if you're a good musician, then you can sell T-shirts. So
yeah.
If you want to be a successful T-shirt designer, just be a successful musician.
Yeah, you can play guitar while we hand letter and do it all together. Stefan, thank you so much for joining us here today. You're joining us from Switzerland, right?
Zurich, Switzerland. For once sunny, not rainy.
Wow.
We've kind of like got the bad weather this year, but it's gonna be good. It's
picking up a bit. Yeah, same here. So for those who don't know you and aren't familiar with you, why don't you give us a little bit of intro to who you are, and in particular how you got into this world of hand lettering?
That is the most interesting story that I can think of. Like, you would think that I was born with the idea of like, I want to become a hand lettering artist. Well, that's not at all what happened. I actually stumbled into hand lettering. And the way it happened really was that I started like doing graphics on my phone for Instagram, and kind of like decided like I want to pursue that Instagram dream, like really do it, not just do it by like doing like one thing or the other. And
Yeah.
so really focusing on one lane. And so it happened to be just photos and text. Like, I don't know where that came from, but it just happened. So, and I used an app called Over on my phone, did like a lot of different graphic designs, kind of like always started to improve. And then probably came to a crossroad where a lot of designers come to. It's like you've used all the fonts you can possibly think of, like there's nothing new under the sun. And so you need to come up with a brilliant way of putting all the words together in a nice way that nobody has seen before. So the only way I knew how to do that was to go back to paper and start drawing those letters. And that's when I realized that drawing letters is actually so much harder than it looks like. And the only reason I was able to think of was that, one, you see letters every single day. Like, you read a lot, you see advertisements, you see billboards, you see everything around you has letters. And so your brain knows how a letter should look like. And so that was the challenge to overcome. Like, how do you draw letters and draw them in the right way? And over like, at the time when I started out in 2014, there were no courses, no Skillshare around, nothing on YouTube really. I didn't even know that lettering was a thing until like I was probably 1 or 2 years in. And so that's how I got into lettering. It's just by kind of like copying other people's stuff, seeing what I could find on Pinterest, and developing my own style and my own techniques, which is one of the most important things. Is like, you need to have a technique, you need to have a strategy to solve all these things. Like, when you come up with new t-shirt ideas, like, you have built your own strategy, which is the idea guide. And for me, like drawing letters, like I've created my 4-step creative process, which, well, one can be applicable to playing the guitar, but also to t-shirt design and lettering. And so like started out with inspiration, like finding the best stuff, the stuff that you're inspired by, then understanding how it actually works. So dissecting it, and then like putting it all back together and like creating something from those information that you have found, and then always improving your work. So always adding one more step. And so those are the 4 steps that have helped me to progress this far, to work with amazing clients, to build a business around all of that. And yeah, do this full time now. Like, it's been 2017 beginning of 2017 is when I decided, like, you know what? Well, it looks like there's a book coming out for me. Like, I'm about to publish a book. I have a course coming out and stuff like that. I felt like, you know what? It's safe to bet everything on this one creative skill, and just to really focus on that, which has really helped me.
Yeah, well, I think, those who follow you, and there's already people in the chat who know you and familiar with your work, know the quality of it and the effort that you put into what you create. And not only do you obviously post your work, but you post your process, you show people how to do it, you obviously teach people, you help people along the way. And I know people really love that about you. And I think that's, what you said about how you started with Instagram. That was kind of your motivation, was to grow a big Instagram account, and that's why you had this kind of marketing mindset. You were always thinking about, how do I not just, I don't just want to post a nice design, let me post a video of me going through it, or let me post something helpful, or give it some context or something. So yeah, that kind of mindset is, I think it's not it's not the natural artist mindset, right? Most artists are not thinking marketing. They're not thinking, how do I grow my following? They're thinking, I want to create what I create, and I want to somehow make some money from it. You kind of came at it from the other direction. So when it comes to the business side, how did that develop? Was it always audience first and then the money kind of followed from that? Or did you have a plan for, making some business out of this skill that you had?
So it was a lot of learning on the way, like figuring things out as you go. So one of the probably first design jobs that I got with lettering was actually designing t-shirts. Because it kind of lends itself really well to say, like, you know what, I have a t-shirt design company. I remember it was called Walk in Love, US design t-shirt design company, that wanted like 5 designs, and they were willing to pay pretty much a lot for me back then. which right now like wouldn't cover like the starting fee, but you
Yeah,
know, you got to start somewhere.
exactly. Yeah.
And it developed into more things, like coming up with like designs for advertising, for bigger projects, bigger companies, and all the way up like to Coca-Cola. Like you find yourself on with working with one of the biggest brands you know of,
Mm.
and most influential one, and they are like working totally different, and you suddenly feel like, wait, why am I in this big league somehow? You feel this imposter syndrome really creeping up and saying like, wait, I don't belong here, but somehow I am here. And the whole business side as well, like it developed over a year, like it grew and grew and grew. And so that has been very, like, I've been very fortunate this year. Like after the second year of Corona, like it has kind of like come down because last year was just insane.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, but this year I'm trying to figure out those things again, trying to come up, like I told you just before we started this live stream, like trying out new things, understanding how that works, and doing all of that. And one of the things that I've become very, very passionate about is helping other creatives do the same thing, do it easily, like creating tools that would help people draw like easier, and like help to take away those obstacles that a lot of people have, like composition, layout. Like you're there and you're like, how do I do this? And I had to overcome this. And so I created these products for myself first, because I felt like, you know what, this is how I solve my problem. And suddenly I realized like, oh, you know what, I can actually help others do that, the same thing. In the same way that I teach, it has this exact same process of, you know what, I understand like how I can come up with like a million different lettering styles, but it wasn't naturally to think of me to say like, oh, other people didn't know that. And then I realized like, wait a minute, there's no one teaching this. Like, how is it possible? Like, you're just teaching one style. That doesn't make any sense. And so that's why I came up with the Building Letters 101 course and the composition masterclasses, because I was like, hey, why is nobody teaching this? Like, people need to be able to do this, because it's not that difficult until you learn it. Like you realize, wait a minute, it's not that difficult. I can do that. And so that's really important.
Yeah, no, it's great. And I think a lot of people will, well, they will know, because I recently did a live stream on design cuts where we use the composition grids and the letter builder and the grid builder. That's just an incredible tool. So simple, really, but you know, just transformed and made it possible for people like me, not really a hand letterer, never really studied it, never really, you know, given it much time and attention, but just to be able to drop a grid in there and drop some letter shapes in, and then all of a sudden what would have looked, you know, scrappy and really unprofessional, you know, looks nice and attractive on a t-shirt or whatever. So thank you for that product. I know there's a lot of people who
My pleasure.
really use it all the time, and it's an incredible tool.
Like the best thing for me is to see other people use it. Like we have a hashtag called letter builder and a hashtag grid builder. And we see what people are doing. And it's just amazing to see like how it's helping. Like we've sold thousands of versions of that, and people are just using it. It's helping like them really to create and draw letters like with ease. And then you realize like, oh yeah, it actually can be simple. Like one of the hardest letter to draw, like Ian made a post one time, like my good friend Ian Barnard, he created a post like how long it takes you to do your lettering and how long it takes you to do the letter S. And it's kind of like the letter S just takes so much more, because it's just one of the hardest letters, because it has so many round shapes, and then you have to connect it somehow. But then when you're using the letter builder, somehow it becomes so much more easy,
So much easier,
which is the perfect way to do it.
It's a lifesaver. Yeah, it really is. So let's talk a little bit about t-shirt design. Like you said, t-shirts a really great medium for hand lettering. I wrote an email earlier this week saying how, you know, if you can hand letter something instead of just using fonts, using someone else's fonts, because let's face it, you know, Photoshop, Canva, whatever you're using these days to create designs, anyone can open up these programs, type out some text, call it a t-shirt design.
Exactly.
And what that means is you're up against anyone who can do the same thing. So you need to find ways to get some more personality into your work, to do something that really infuses it with a bit more creativity. And one of the best ways is hand lettering, because you're creating artwork. You know, you are creating art that's completely custom. You know, you're doing it yourself. So one of the things I thought we'd do today, we'll rather than just talk about hand lettering, we'll actually do some live, you know, hand lettering, and you can show us kind of a bit of your process. So is it okay if we kind of get started on that?
Absolutely. So
yeah, do you want to take it away, Stefan, or should I
yeah.
kind of introduce the project?
So, well, introduce the project and I'll get started on the same
Okay,
time.
so yeah, let me just share my screen quickly here. So I suggested this to Stefan. Maybe we could do something live, and I thought, well, if I come up with a concept and then I can hand it over to Stefan, and he can show us what he'd do. So this is how I came up with this idea. Those of you who are in my ideas workshop, you'll be familiar with the ideas workshop software here. What this is a big list of like 300 phrases, and you can put a word in. You can put like any word in up here, and it's going to replace the phrase, and you can just scroll down and then come up with some ideas. So I just thought, oh, let's do something summary because it's summer, let's try and come up with some summer ideas. So I put the word summer in and scrolled down my list and picked a few out, and these are the ones that I just picked out. So like summer till I'm dead, summer is calling and I must go, baby, it's summer outside. So I just put a few of these together, and the one that stuck out was this one. I love the smell of summer in the morning. So I thought, well, that's a good concept. Let's try that one. Stefan agreed. So why don't you take it away, Stefan, and show them what we've got from starting from that.
All right.
Start.
So I can switch to that screen, and I
let me
can
make
still
that a bit,
add my face in here so you can still see me talk.
Yeah.
All right. So one of the things Michael suggested was that we would use already like a grid. Like that's kind of what I want to show. And so I have this package that's called the illustration grids, composition grids. So it's focused on lettering that's already put in these boxes that you can see here. And that actually is really helpful to see where you can put your lettering in, where you can write something inside, and then also just like put like all these elements together. So out of that, kind of where you could put your lettering, your text, and your illustration. And thanks to that, now, this is what Michael created. So it's kind of like this illustration of this dolphin inside. And we've had, like I just sketched out really easily, I love the smell of summer in the morning. So as you can see at the bottom, it changes a tiny little bit, but that's kind of where we're going to start off from. And so one of the first things that I do is just really take anything, like go black color. Here I have a set of my favorite brushes. You can get those all for free by signing up to my email list on stefankunz.com. And so what I start off with is kind of like placing inside, like really roughly, like I love, and try to see like how long do I need to make the letters. So here the could really be inside, like in the middle. And then smell, you can always rotate those things around. And I have a sneeze coming your way, so just be on the lookout for that. I can feel it in my nose. But here is where I can get a little bit more flexible. It's kind of like I can draw out like something else here, and summer. So as I can see, well, one is that I don't put enough letters inside. So that's usually what happens when I start talking. And also scribbling down is usually that my concentration will drop. But summer,
it's a very good, I have to say, like I did this the other day on the Design Cuts one, but it's an incredible skill to be able to draw and to give it attention and talk at the same time. So you're already doing better than I was.
Right. Writing and talking at the same time is probably one thing that I feel like, ooh, this is the hardest, because you're like trying to think of something else, kind of like multitasking. And did you know, Michael, that it's impossible actually? Like humans are not made to multitask. They can't multitask. The only thing that you do is actually switch between two exercises really fast. So that was the illustration. So here I'll take the PNG and then actually just drop it inside here. Like that.
There it is.
Place that outside. And so I can place that anywhere later in the image, which is great. Even sometimes flip it around to see whether or not that could look cool. But you see already one thing that I love is like it's going over the O. It's kind of like going over the M. Like we could have one part of the M going front, behind. So I kind of like to mix those things together. And also seeing here the space in between. So I'll take off the snapping here because it's just annoy me a little bit, but here trying to get this equal space around, like if I zoom in around the head, that just like, it's for anyone who has OCD, like that's like the soothing thing, like, that's
it fits
nice. Like you want to use the space right.
The great thing about the just to interrupt. The great thing about the composition grid like that is like I could actually, what I did was, I took your grid composition, I drew the dolphin with that in mind. I actually fit my illustration to the grid that you put together. So that's the great thing about it. You don't have to start with an illustration and then try and force it into one of these grids. You can actually use it to frame your process, and it just speeds everything up. So
like the great thing as well is if you're like a person who absolutely has no idea about lettering, like you can still use like text here. Like you can add text. Like I like to do that sometimes because it's just sometimes just easier. And then you can go in and say like, you know what, I'm just gonna cut this off here, and I'm gonna go into the transform section here, and then going into the warp, and so suddenly I can then move it around. My iPad's getting old. I was just thinking today about getting a new one because I'm teaching a course on iPad, but in my boot camp, my iPad boot camp, I actually also share about how many iPads I've already owned, which is a little bit scary.
Go on, how many have you owned?
I haven't owned too many. I started with one, and when you start with one, you just go on with the next one. And so I was lucky that I could mostly resell most of them, but I think I've burned through is a wrong word, but you get the idea. So here, just to kind of shorten that thing, is you can use text and then kind of like place it around and then kind of hide it and then draw over it. Like this is a super easy trick. Right now I would go in and I would go on a new layer. So right now I have 2 layers like a little bit hidden, and I can start drawing inside. Here I can also pick up your colors, but right now I'm just doing it black colors. You can always do colors at the end. You don't have to do them right away. And so this would be like a simple styled letter. But again, if you learn how to really transform your letters, so let's say I could also go with a different style, like adding a little bit more like serifs and stylize the letters a little bit more. So that could work also. So it's kind of like a vintage t-shirt. So it depends on the style that you want to go for, Michael. Not sure about that.
Well, no, I'm happy to let you you run wild with it. But no, I like that little kind of serif thing, and I can see you've picked up, or you've already gone for like a nice, clean, legible, kind of style anyway, which is important for t-shirt designs.
See, I didn't know that, but one of the rules that I teach about like I didn't know that about like lettering on t-shirts. But one thing that I teach is one of the rules that you need to follow in lettering is like you need to make it legible. It needs to be easy to read. And so there are 2 things. There's readability and legibility. Legible is like, can you actually determine which letter it is? And readable, like how fast can you read the word? Like, do you need to spend like a lot of time on the word, or is it easy seen, and so on?
Yeah, no, both of absolutely for t-shirt design, because you're creating something in a medium that needs to be understandable really quickly. So a lot of people, I think, and probably where hand lettering, if you get too intricate, of course, with certain designs, it's not going to work that great on a t-shirt. It might be aesthetically pleasing, but it might be hard to read. Of course, those designs will work great on posters or something, some other kind of medium. But when you're doing something like this, I do think legibility, the ability to quickly get the message without having to think too hard or look too long at it, is really key. So that's one thing to bear in mind when you're doing hand lettering.
And another thing about those grids, why those lines are super important. Like consistency is a huge thing when it comes to lettering. And what you want to do is like your line should be continuous. Now, if I take off the grids, you suddenly see the lines like continuing, and you see like it's in the right shape. And so that's like even everything in the right line like helps your design just to stand off, like help to stand out a little bit more, because it actually follows those lines.
The exact grid. Yeah,
So
exactly.
the same way I did the I love, like I can do the same thing with smell without actually looking. So just going inside here and putting out down the letters. And as I told you, like I have a lot of practice with
Yeah.
drawing S's. So
Yeah,
that looks a little bit simpler, but
that was the
still
quickest
right
test I've
now,
ever seen.
you can actually turn this around because the bottom
Ah,
part should be
a bit big.
wider.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. See, it's all those
and
little
so
details,
on.
isn't it, that you pick up over time.
Exactly. And you just learn that like a lot of people are frustrated because they see like, oh, it looks so easy when you do it. It's like, yeah, but I also have a couple years more of practice and have
Yeah.
drawn a lot of pieces, and that's okay. Now that's, again, when you have a lot of practice, you can just go at it. You'll see like what things you need to adjust as you draw them, kind of like this here. Just need to make sure that I'm drawing in the right layer. That's always a problem. So right here I see like, oh, when I zoom out, I can tell like something doesn't
Needs a
seem
little bit.
right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit shaky, a little bit off. So you can adjust. One thing that you always want to look out for to get consistency is also the thickness of your letters. Like when you zoom out, like not one letter should really look thicker than the other. So you can kind of adjust that and keep on going. And now here, another thing you can also use is the letter builder. So I talked about this one. You can actually just go in, like use a different color. I'll add like another thing. Right now, I just need to put that here. So 3 parts.
So let me just stop you a sec, Stefan. You just did you just hold it down? Did you just hold that down and drag it when you
Yes.
came up with the 3 of them? Yeah, you just literally held down and drag it. Yeah.
Yes.
Just because I've been doing mine individually, and I saw you do that on a stream. I was like, oh, you can actually do that.
So there's even an easier trick. And so the other trick is you go to add text, you go to E and L, and then you change the font, and you can actually install the letter builder font. So we have the one here.
Oh, no way.
And then you should have that, and suddenly like then you can still decide on the kerning. So like you can go back in, you can type in here kerning. Like I don't know why it's not actually changing the kerning here.
Yeah, but it should be.
But that's how you can do it. And so this is another easy way
that.
to.
And the fonts just included in the grid builder packs as well.
Absolutely, you get those
Amazing.
included. Exactly.
Amazing.
Well, we wouldn't want to sell anything that isn't good, that isn't like the same. Like that's like our products are so easy. Of course, there are a lot of copycats out there who try to do and imitate the same products. But when you realize like, oh, you actually do pay for like what, like you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
And so this is like the huge difference. Like that's why I love working with Ian.
Yeah.
Because he is such meticulous in those details. Like even our letter builders, like our grids, they're designed in a specific way that are exactly like they work with the letters really well. And so this is here the cool thing, like the E, I know that I just need to follow this line here and kind of like this thickness. Here I can add the serif like I did with the other letters, pull up here and then do the crossbar in between and don't have to go all the way. And so let me show you how easy it is to do an S here. So you kind of have this 2 circles parts. So you follow just like one line, you go around, you go up, you pull down, and then you go up here and set it up. And then you have like a perfect S, like almost here.
Amazing.
I didn't really follow this line, but this is how fast you can get a wonderful L and get it like amazing. Incredible. And so here I'm just going to shorten this down a tiny little bit. Because you can always make small adjustments. Like a lot of people, I've seen this often enough. And so sometimes you just want to kind of like adjust something that you see by the eye that you want to change differently. And like, of course, like these things are made so you can draw them in your own way, the way you love them to. And so now I can hide that again and see I've drawn like perfect identical L's without drawing them twice over. And so that is like, I can still adjust them here a little bit. I can adjust this L here a little bit, pull this out, correct that, like space them a little bit. So this is usually something that I do at the end, spacing them out. like I changed the M before. Now I can pull this all just a tiny bit like this. And when I look at these two words, like I want them to be as close matching as possible. So here the S, like it needs to overshoot on the top, but it also needs to overshoot at the bottom. And I can change kind of the orientation a little bit more, just like this. And so it feels more in the incline.
Balanced. Yeah.
So right now, that looks pretty legit.
It's looking great already.
And easy to do. Like right now, we haven't really broken a sweat, which is amazing.
Well, you haven't.
And I haven't.
Some of us might have. We got a couple of questions coming in. Do you mind if I just interrupt with a few questions?
Absolutely.
While you're working on that? So Audrey says, tips on designing our own grids. It's the hardest part for me. Do you have any tips on designing grids for stuff like this?
Oh, absolutely. So, well, one is you got to start off with like with other grids. Like before you necessarily start creating your own grids, like work with other grids. Like once you see how they work and how they're created, like it's getting easier and easier to do. Number two, like the grid builder is a great way. It's kind of like a puzzle piece. So you have like in here, if I go to my brushes and go to grid builder, you see all of these different grid elements. And then you can start piecing them together. And they're kind of like Lego blocks. Like you start off with one. So let's say I'm going in here, kind of like make this scale a little bit smaller, a little bit bigger than that though, like this. Now I'm trying to think of a form, a shape that could work inside here. So I will go in here, for example, this arc small will actually wouldn't want to put that in here on the same layer. So again, changing the size here. Now I can rotate that around like 100 or 270 degrees. And again, using the one that I was showing before, so kind of like this here. And as you can see, like one thing that happens that is beautiful is just not this form here. So putting it in here in between, like placing it right there. And like we have those anchors to help you find like the exact middle ground. So kind of like have a symmetry in between. And so you can stack up pieces and go up. Like I can go in here, like take the oval, take a diamond shape. The coffin would be great, for example, too. So like scale that down, put it in here. And you start seeing like, you can put like 2 words in here. And once you start seeing like more and more of these shapes, it's super easy to really create whatever you want to.
Yeah, no, I think
that's and
great.
Also this is also one thing, like it goes into the composition part. So that's one part that I teach in the composition masterclass, is like how you can create like different like the process of coming up with these different ideas and like different amount of quotes. Like one of the things that I've had trouble with for the most time is like whenever I had a client come up to me and tell me like, hey, I would love to get this quote done. And I was like, well, it has more than 3 words. So can you not shorten it down to like 2 or 3? And of course, like every client would be like, no, I want that. It's kind of like you coming to me and saying like, I would like to have I love the smell of summer in the morning. And I'd be like, this is great, but could you like shorten it down to just, I love the smell? It's like, that would be weird. Like, why would I want that? Yeah. And so it wasn't professional of me to do that. And so I had to change that, that way. And so I had to learn composition. Like either I would find a better strategy to convince my clients to write less words, or I would actually learn how to do it. And the first one, like learning how to do it, was the better option. And so it took me some time to actually figure it out. And this is why it's great. Like you can just do the course. So you can learn it from me just in one go without actually having to do any of the hard work of figuring it all out. And so like if you're doing t-shirt designs, like it's absolutely great. Like you can already make a couple of bucks by making a t-shirt design. And plus, if you can come up with like cool layouts like nobody else can, then like Michael said, like you can stand out, like not something that other people can use on Canva and something like that. You can still use like most of my composition packages, like they're made to do that in an easy way, but this is how you can really get a head start and do it easily.
No, it's incredible.
So
One more question
Yeah.
from Beth on the composition side. Do you have the composition grids made up, or is that something we need to develop ourselves? Well, I can answer that one for you, Beth. They are ready to go. If you check out michaelessick.com/Stefan, you'll find a link to the composition grids, the illustration pack. And it's only like $12 or something crazy like that. And you can even get a discount on that. So it's an incredible tool there. Stefan's showing some of the
So this is what you're getting. Like you can like zoom in here, like you get like all these different packages, and then you see in the background, like those are just examples that I've made. Like you can just fill that up. You have like those tiles in here. And those are easy, like a cool badge kind of like element in here. Like that's awesome. Like the lighthouse, welcome to the, like, there's so much customability. Like you can all customize all of those. You can use this for logos. Like we have created those for t-shirt designs specifically. And you can come up with your own, like you can see, like I'm transforming this one here and like customizing it. And like we didn't really, like you, Michael, didn't choose any of the saying logo right now to match like one of those grids. You just chose one that you liked, and then it fit. Like we found a grid that really fitted it well, even with your illustration. And so that's an easy part to do. And so you don't even have to think too much of it. Like, and that's a great part. Like those are also just great for a rainy day. So that's why I've created, like, I have a mega bundle available where you can buy all of these together. So that's $36 for the whole, like it's, I don't know, it's a lot of grids. And together with then the grid builder and letter builder, then you have like the whole thing. You can customize it really easily as well. So you get all of that really like in the best possible way. Plus, if you do then the courses, you know exactly how to use them. You can really get the most out of them. Or you can also just go watch some stuff for free on YouTube just to get like a head start if you don't want to spend too much money right away. But I'm telling you, like you get the whole value out of it, just like that.
It's they are incredible, incredible tools to use. And like you say, you know, a lot of the times with me, I've got an idea for a design. I know what I want to do, and I know it's probably going to have an illustration and some text. But then it's like, well, what do I do now? You know, what's the best way to combine these together? And with your composition grids, you don't have to think about it. You can just run through the grids and go, well, not that one, not that one. That one would work well because that really fits, you know, the kind of shapes that I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be doing a dolphin, so it's going to be higher than it is wide or whatever. So yeah, it really saves brain power. You don't have to like start from scratch every time. You just have a composition grid there and you just go for it. So yeah, absolutely. Happily,
and there's just days.
Sorry, go on, Stefan.
Yeah, there's just days where there's no new idea that you can come up with. And so sometimes it's just having that ready to start. Like you just go in and you just like, it's like filling out a form. Like filling out forms is not difficult. It's really easy. So that's why it's great to have something just like that whenever you need it to work for you. And then you can still, like, it can spark another idea that you can come up with. And so that's why, like, I feel like a lot of people said like, well, that's cheating. But like, I was like, well, it's kind of like a ruler. Like it helps you to draw straight lines. It helps you to draw them in a beautiful way. Like if you're using Photoshop, like you're using fonts, like, is that really cheating? No, it's like you're still using your creativity to really put your spin on it. And you're doing a lot of work, like coming up with a quote, coming up with the illustration, like you still have so much to do. And so take off, like make it a little bit easier, save some time. Like,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're using Photoshop, if you're using a computer at all, you're already cheating times 1,000. So, so absolutely, like, having the grids is just making it easier, isn't it?
Even for this instance where I'm like, I don't want to actually draw this M twice. So I'm just going to duplicate that and then just pull that next to here.
Yeah,
and boom.
great.
And then I can even space that really nicely, just like that. And now I can just merge them down. See, it's all about working smart. Like I'm one of the first people that will tell you, like, I'm super lazy, but that laziness has a great benefit by becoming really fast in a lot of elements.
Yeah, that's what Bill Gates said as well. He said that if he was trying to decide who to give a job to someone, he'd always look for the laziest person because they'll find out the most efficient way to do it quickly. I thought that was
Very
a
interesting.
good tip there. Happily Letter After says, so mesmerizing to watch. It is. And I know, Stefan, you've got a few videos. You do videos on your YouTube channel where it's just like you just drawing, right? And you just put some music behind it. And it's just like, if you want something to watch, to relax to, it's you can't say much better than that. It's really therapeutic almost process to watch
In some
someone
ways.
with this. Yeah. Let's see if we got any other questions here while you're cracking on. A few people surprised about the font thing as well. They didn't know about that, so that's a definite time saver there.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Richie says, what program are you using? So you're using Procreate, right?
Yes.
And you're using the Apple Pencil.
Exactly.
On the iPad, exactly. Yeah. Nicholas says, can you use this in Illustrator or is it easier in Procreate?
It is easier in Procreate, but you can use it in Illustrator. That's the short answer to that. Like we have developed the products like because we both use Illustrator. We both use Procreate all the time, and so that's kind of like the first parts. But we know that a lot of designers like they just love using it. Like using it in Illustrator has some benefits of its own. And you can save like a lot of time like still coming up with a lot of these designs, but on the other hand, like you then have everything like already put in, like drawn out in vector. But it really comes down to your preferences, like what app are you the fastest in, how do you do everything, and so on.
Yeah. A lot of people like I'm a Photoshop guy on the computer, but obviously Procreate on the iPad, and it's just what like I know that Illustrator's great for. It's probably better for t-shirt designs in general, but I'm just a Photoshop guy, so I stick with what I know. So it's really just finding what's best for you, isn't it? Bo says he has Letter Builder and Grid Builder, but didn't know about the font. What a great option, Stefan! Are they in the original download? Thanks.
They should
be,
and
right?
If not, they are. Depends. No, they should be in every pack. But if you have, like, if you feel like you haven't gotten them, like, just get in touch. We'll send you like the newest version with like everything else. Like, usually we haven't updated too many things on it, but there's always the possibility that there's something new. But you can always email us, and we'll happily send you like the updated version.
Awesome.
With that.
Yeah. Philippe says, I know you have some tools for Illustrator, but could you in the future teach us how to emulate the same Procreate brushes on Illustrator? That's a bit of a complicated one, isn't it?
that is, and also the thing is, Illustrator is totally different from Procreate. And the reason being, it's like the one is a vector app, the other one is a pixel app. So if you are into geeking out a little bit, well then like vector is all mathematical based equations that tell you like how your line is being drawn, and the other thing is like really every pixel has just a pixel. So that's why like when you zoom in, like everything is pixelated rather than nice and smooth. And so there's just like different things that you can do. Like for example, if I use this flat marker brush like this here, you can see like it creates like a whole different effect, which is really nice, but it's not necessarily the thing you want when you start out. So it really depends on what you're out for or what you're looking for. And that helps you to create something or not. Depends on, like, again, what you're going for.
Great, Jonathan says, what is the hardware software that Stefan is using? So you're on the iPad.
Yes.
Which model would that be? Not the most recent one, but the one.
No, 2018, the iPad Pro 2018 version. And like it hasn't, like the updates so far have been minor for that iPad. Like the newer one probably runs just a little bit smoother with the new processor and stuff like that. But again, like I'm still thinking of like, hey, does it really benefit my like my process better or not? And so I need to make those adjustments as I go.
Yeah.
A grid builder.
Great. We got a question. Which course is the iPad course? So you've got a dedicated course specifically on the iPad, haven't you? Right?
Yes. So this one will actually be starting on Saturday. It's going to start fresh. And the one thing is, we book out, like it's been booked out, like in just a matter of weeks, we've had like all our seats filled out. And I couldn't believe how fast they were gone. Like it's a great thing, but like I was surprised myself this time, just because we've never seen it go so fast. Like the first one was sold out, the second one was sold out, now the third one sold out immediately, and so we have like a backlog of like people waiting to get in. So if you're interested, you definitely need to check out like our waiting list and get on that one, and just like make sure that you get those emails when we inform you that you come in, because being on the waiting list has like super benefits. Like you're not only the first person to know when a new course is, but you also get to sign up before everyone else. So we had like a lot of people get a seat, like sign up on Friday, and on Monday they actually went live. So you also get like to sign up. Plus you get like a bonus discount because you've waited a long time to get on there. And we wanted to kind of like reward your waiting time. So there's just benefits on being signed up for the course.
Yeah, and they can sign up on the waiting list on your website, right?
Yes, so you can go, exactly, you can go there, and you can just wait. Like you can go to the courses section, and then you'll see the Procreate Bootcamp, and that's where you can sign up.
Correct. So yeah, Procreate Bootcamp is the iPad or the Procreate course, but you've also got
exactly.
Well, we'll talk a bit about the courses at the end when we wrap this up. Violet says it looks like the font came in the update in December 2018. So search your emails and you may find the update. So yeah, if you purchased years ago, 2018, it's a long time ago, isn't it? Really now.
Yeah,
go and grab it.
The tools have been out there for a very long time.
A long time, yeah, it's amazing. That's great. I'm just checking if we've got any other questions here, but I think everyone's just enjoying watching you go through the process, really.
Yeah, so right now, this is also a great part about the grid builder. Like you can see those lines, those are like super helpful. Like that's why like I know how to space my letters. Like the more you do it, the more you just know like, all right, this is how you draw your letters, how you space them, and so on. And so it becomes really easy to do that, just to put them all together. Like the one thing that I'm always a little bit scared of is missing out one letter, because that usually happens in a live stream like this. But that's why we have people very attentive and watching and looking out for those type of mistakes. That's why I love doing live streams, is because like you barely make a mistake when you look at the chat. Like sometimes, like right now, I barely have the time to really to see that, but you would see it.
Oh, don't worry. I'll let you know if you missed one. They definitely shout at us in the chat if something happened. Callie says, can we use this in Fresco?
Oh, this is a good question.
Is Fresco the new Adobe one? I don't even know that one myself.
So Fresco is the Adobe drawing app. It does work on Adobe. Let me just ask quickly my assistant, Kathleen. Does the grid builder and letter builder work on Adobe Fresco? It would definitely say that on the websites, on our website.
Okay. Yeah.
On the iPad, it works.
Yeah, on the iPad, it works.
Oh, great. Okay, awesome. So there you go, Callie. It does work. Awesome. So look at this. We've got a full design. I mean, what did that take? That's been less than half an hour or something, I think, that it's taken you to hand letter that, which obviously is comes from experience. But, you know, the ability to do that, you know, from my point of view, and what I'd say to people is, you know, if you practice this and you get that kind of skill and you're able to churn something like that out, obviously it's not a completed design quite yet, but still it's what, 80% of the way there. You know, that's an incredible ability to be able to take an idea, turn it into an incredible design like that, and it's hand lettered, it's custom lettered, you know, it's fully copyright protected, all that kind of stuff. That's an incredible ability. You know, that's an extra string to your bow besides just I can illustrate, or, you know, I can line things up in Photoshop. So yeah, incredible.
Like one of the techniques, like, because we probably have enough time as it is, or we have how much? We have like 10 minutes left.
Yep, just about bang on 10 minutes, yep.
Okay, maybe I'm not going to do that then. But like here, you can just play around. Like I still want to kind of make this feel right. Like the summer could use, maybe put in more space, but right now that would be fine tuning, figuring out like the stuff to make that work. Also, if you start using different colors, like the summer could be more inside, eventually even more squished. So kind of like putting this, like this summer wouldn't take necessarily the right spot, but if you put like freeform and you squish it, like I know a lot of designers like, you cannot squish a font. So like, well, watch me. I'm a lettering artist. I can do that.
Exactly.
And so it depends on how like you want to place that in. But here, I kind of feel like it's kind of like nice. And so here I can take those off, place them like nicely in this grid again, which is also really cool. Take this, the in here, place that also about the same height, hopefully. And then take the summer again, maybe squish it a little bit out here, even go into the in and summer a little bit less, maybe just give it a little bit more space. Like that. Like the bow of the R here could be a little bit more, just so it doesn't blend in as much with the L on top as you otherwise would have. And then we can again take the morning and maybe scale it down, move it up a little bit, like here, scale it down like that, and bring it up. Not too much up because you still want to have that nice little space in between. And so now it still holds that form. And since you've kind of used like those water droplets, like I love those, but right now I'm thinking of, you know what? I can mask those out. So here I would mask those out. And I would take back again, get a new layer, just like get this blue out, and then use like these droplets here and place them in between the design. So you're kind of using like the negative space that you have in your design as well, and see like how you could use this here as well, just to maybe have like this one small one here.
Yes, it's obviously going to fit a bit nicer with the text rather than just clumped on top or whatever. Yeah.
And sometimes like, why not like have one that goes even over the letters? But you put them in the place where like it looks great. Now I'm just going to hide this look design back here. But if I now take like all of these layers that I have, so group them, yeah, that looks nice. I'm just going to place it a little bit more high up like that. And like, let's put it on the biggest way possible like this. Like you can see and tell. This is what we create in like how many seconds, minutes?
Yeah, a bit more than half an hour, something like that.
Yeah,
but yeah, not much more. And obviously,
what colors
like
do you use in the background, like a purple.
Yeah, just like
orange. More orangey, probably like this, maybe.
Incredible.
But you can play around with the colors.
Yeah, obviously
everywhere.
you can. Exactly.
What I would do now is usually would go draw all these things again, because now it's so much easier. You've kind of like created your letter the way you want them, and so now would be really like the final. Let's say you would be in blue. You can use a tracer, kind of like this simple brush here, and then scale it to the size that you need it to, and then really like do it nicely, or do it like in a perfect way possible.
Yeah, really take your time with it.
Exactly. And then kind of like do the edges right, do everything right. Like you can even like hold down, make them really like nice and bend, and just put them together, and boom, you have like a beautiful, perfect letter.
Yeah, you can already see.
And so on.
No, incredible. A couple of questions before we move on. Richie, well, we'll talk about that in a second, Richie. Good question, but we'll talk about that. Tony says, do you ever vectorize your lettering?
Yes, whenever it goes out to something huge. Let me just get you so if I go into my website, like I've done a project here for Best of Switzerland. It was for an airline, for Zurich Airport. And you can see like this is a car park, like this is a parking lot. It's about 7-8 stories high, even higher, 10 stories. And you can see like this is 30 meters by 20 meters, something like that.
Wow.
Like it's absolutely insane. And it had to go on all these different pieces. So all of this had to be vectorized. So I drew like every single word in the highest way possible, like in the biggest size possible, and then got into Illustrator, photoshopped it, image traced it, and then vectorized it and put it all there. So yeah,
incredible.
But it started really with a sketch that looks terrible, but fun.
Everything does. This has been incredible, Stefan. Let's because a few people have been asking about products and what should they start with, what products should they start with.
Yes.
So I'll just flash up the products on the screen here, and you can check these out at michaelessick.com/Stefan. But why don't you tell us a little bit about each of these ones and who it's really for and that kind
of thing. All right. So if you've already started lettering and you start drawing letters, or you just want to get started but you don't want to be bogged down by just the whole composition, like where do I put what, start with the composition grids. Like those are pre-made grids. You really have some examples already on there and you need to fill it out. Like imagine a form, just filling that out. Like that's how easy it is. You just need to place the letter on the top, at the bottom, and you'll figure it out as you go. Start to like modify it here and there, like adding your own touch. And then when you feel like, hey, you know what, you're figuring it out, like then get the letter builder and the grid builder. Like letter builder could also work really well with the composition grids. But then with the grid builder, you can start then building your own, like kind of like I showed you, this Lego principle, really start to stack them. And if you want to figure out how that all works, like the process of like coming up with all these different styles, like I showed you before this here, like there are so many different lettering styles in this part here. And if you want to know, like, how do I come up with all of these different styles? Like, how does that even work? Like, how do you memorize all of these things? Well, there's a super easy principle in there that you can really learn. That's easy to learn. And you can do that. Like, it's not complicated. And so that's what I teach in the Ultimate Lettering Workshop online course. It's a 2-part series, like building letters 101, going through my 4-step process, like how to come up, like see an inspiration, see some amazing design, and then take it all the way up to like your own version, your own letters and everything, as well as composition masterclass, where I teach you like how to like put this all together, the process of creating a beautiful piece and how you can create your own composition grids and all of that. And so those are 2 courses. You can take them and do them at your own pace, at your own time. Like you can start today, you can do something tomorrow, you can start in a month or something. But like we said, like coupon, like you get 20% off today if you're watching this live. So if you're rewatching this, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to take that. That's why you should always watch it live. And that's also just the benefit of doing this. But yeah, everything on my shop, like from all the like grids, tools, brushes, everything you can think of on the courses as well. The Ultimate Lettering Workshop or the Building Letters 101 and so on. You can take them now. And if $199 is just too much for you right now, then with 20% discount, it's even less. It's $150 almost. But you can also do that, split it up in 3 payments or per individual course in 2 payments. And so you get a ton of value. You get into watching those courses, learn about letters. And so if you're lettering like a t-shirt designer, then this is a way to really like step up your game. Like Michael said, really create something of like unique and individual that nobody else can actually offer, because you bring your touch to that and your spin. And so that's how you can really invest in yourself and then also get more value out of that, produce t-shirts and designs that actually people will want to buy and for just a little bit of money that you pay right now. So that's one thing that you can have right now, which is really awesome.
That's incredible. Yeah, I mean, I think the value that you pack in your obviously we've just been on a live stream with you for an hour, and people can see the value of what you've delivered. I can't imagine, anyone not getting everything they could imagine from that course. And there's so much to learn about lettering. We've covered obviously just a fraction of it, but yeah, if you want to really dive in and really craft that skill and develop it to the best of your ability, then Stefan's course is the best way to do that, and it is an incredible price for what it is.
And I'm just going to say, if you're looking for a course that teaches you how to draw like a perfect like brush lettering style course, like that's not it. That's not going to be it, because there's a ton of courses just like that. Like most courses are just that. It's showing you how to use a brush and do like A, B, C of all of that. Like that's not what I'm teaching. I'm teaching you how I've learned it, and I've never learned, like I haven't visited a course before. And so you get like my 5 years of experience packed into just this one course, and how I actually like the same technique that I still use today to push myself to get better, to move up my business. Like if you learn those the 4-step creative process, like it won't just help you be a better lettering artist, it will help you come up with better t-shirt design. Like you can use the same principle in every area. Like that's how I teach myself. Like I've taught myself photography before. Like before I was a lettering artist, I was a wedding photographer for the longest time, and I was very successful. Like I won an Icon award, like #1 best wedding photographer in Switzerland.
Wow.
And I use a Canon camera, which is also the secret behind that. But then before that, I was also a filmmaker. So I used to shoot films and create stories. And so you see, like I've already have this background of a lot of different things. And that's what I use to kind of like push myself, push my skills. Yeah. And that's what you're getting out of this course. So you really like, for that, I would see like, man, I don't know why anyone else is teaching those 4-step creative, or like nobody else really knows that. But once you know, it's like, oh, that's actually like you might have done a version of this, but until you know how clear it is and how to really apply it. And I'm just showing you how to apply it in lettering, like how you can see like the ingredients of a letter instead of just seeing like, oh, this is a sans serif font. No, like there's so much more into it that you can really unpack.
That's incredible. So you must be like 300 years old, right? You've been a videographer, you've been a photographer, you've been a hand letterer.
Probably. Instagram, I haven't done all of those for too long, but again, yes, like Instagram is the same thing. You got to get inspired by seeing like other people's posts, understand like how their viral posts worked and how you can copy and create that. And sometimes it doesn't work right away. Like my last video on YouTube that I put out was like, you are set up to fail and you didn't even know it. Like you are like people will like you want to start something new, but before knowing that you can actually do it, like you need to know that you can learn anything. And like for me, it took like 3 or 4 attempts to start learning to play the guitar. And now on my 4th attempt, it's getting better. Like latte art took me 4 months to do a coffee and pour that milk into the coffee over every day, like for 4 months until I saw results. And like imagine like doing this day after day and not seeing any results. Like it's hard, but you can do it. And so with lettering, it's the cool thing is you can really just try it out and get started and then learn it.
Yeah, that's it. Stefan, thank you so much for your time here today.
I'm just posting
the link in the comments for people who want to grab the link for the courses and everything. And someone was asking, what's the coupon code again? The coupon code is Michael, and that will get you 20% off. But it expires tonight, so you better move fast on that one. It was very generous from Stefan, whose products are all very competitively priced anyway. This is you can grab the composition grids for like $12 or something like that, and you even get a discount on that. So yeah, make sure you use that while you can. It's Michael for 20% off, and we got loads of questions, a lot of comments that have come in. People are saying it was a great presentation. Thank you so much. I've got to go. Thank you. So thank you so much for your time, Stefan. If people want to follow you, where can they go?
On Instagram, Stefan Kunz. YouTube, definitely check out YouTube. That's also my 3rd attempt at trying to do YouTube. Maybe now it's even my 4th attempt. It's hard, but it's always a worth trying and getting it going. And so I'm trying my best, learning to apply those things that I've learned. But again, you don't always find it from the first time. And so you got to push on and do it. And what else? TikTok. You can find me on TikTok.
On TikTok,
yeah, basically,
well. Oh, wow.
I'm on TikTok as well.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, I already have like 170,000 followers on there
Wow.
because like a couple of those videos that I posted went viral.
Yeah.
And somehow you get viral really fast.
Right, okay.
But it's not a dedicated following as I have on other platforms,
On
which
Instagram
I'm
and
happy
stuff, yeah.
about.
So listen, guys, make sure you go and follow Stefan. Obviously, you can see the quality of his work. Go to his website, join his newsletter. You know, sign up for everything. You give away free brushes on your website and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of stuff you want to go and take advantage of. I'm sure everyone watching will want to thank you. A lot of people have said thank you in the comments already. But Stefan, yeah, once again, thank you for your time. This was incredible. Thank you for creating that design for us live. That was really, I found it really therapeutic to sit here and just watch someone do stuff on the live stream instead of me constantly asking and doing stuff. So thank you for that. And yeah, thank you everyone for joining us today. Have a great rest of your day. And a big thanks once again to Stefan for joining us. All right, guys.
See you guys. Thank you, Michael.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.